Fire, 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 fire.
My name is Josh Garry. I'm a history teacher, and this is Way Back When with Blanguage. They said the sun never set on the British Empire. That means they owned so much of the world that at any given point, it was daytime. They owned Australia, New Zealand, India, various countries within Africa, Canada, various islands within the Caribbean. And this paints a picture about how vast the empire was. It stretched right across the globe. The British Empire and the concept of empire is really, really interesting. And it played a major role. In fact, I would argue it played a central role in the outbreak of World War I. By the 1900s, Britain had the largest empire, closely followed by France. The problem you had was the creation of Germany that came into power into the 1870s, and you also had the creation of Italy. The problem was, Germany wanted its place in the sun as well. It wanted an empire. But this empire challenged Britain's position of power. And so you see, that desire for Germany to have an even greater empire was at the center of their conflict with Britain. Because in order for Germany to gain an empire, they would need to take colonies or former colonies from Great Britain. And that also alludes us to the story of how did Britain colonize parts of Africa in the first place. They did it rather quickly. By the 1850s, 10% of Africa was colonized. By the 1900s, 10% of Africa was not colonized. And that short amount of time shows us just how quickly Britain or people from Britain were able to expand and take over Africa. And it wasn't just Britain, might I say. You also had a number of various colonies or a number of various countries from Europe. Now, to bring this to war, interestingly enough, a number of people from these colonies saw themselves as British. And in fact, they were British. They were British subjects. Because if they were a colony of Britain, they were British. And so, when World War I broke out in 1914, the first shot was actually fired by a Ghanaian known as Elhanji Grunchi. A number of soldiers for Britain came from the empire. In fact, they were so patriotic, they saw themselves as British and they wanted to serve as part of the British war effort. The reason why Africans wanted, or shall I say, people from the empire wanted to support Britain and fight against Germany isn't an easy one, and it's complicated, and there's so many layers to this. I think this would be a great PhD question, but my opinion is that there are several layers to this. I think one of the most important layers is education, and the education that a number of these subjects experience in the colonies of a Britain or a mother country that would welcome them. You certainly had religion, although the religion that was implemented wasn't the same across the empire, but religion certainly played a key role. I hope this produces more questions for you as opposed to answers, and I hope that this is a starting point for a number of you to really probe and investigate further. Where did those links really come from, and why did these people feel such a patriotic desire to support an empire that pretty much robbed them of their independence? Now, I guess this poses further questions that I believe are important for us to explore further. Where did the idea for independence come from, and what do people in Britain and people also part of the African diaspora, what does their world look like now as a result of the transatlantic slave trade, as a result of colonialism, and as a result of their involvement in both world wars? In the final episode, we'll be looking at the reality of the Britain we live in today and the legacies that remain.